Morning all, Q&A time again. So, what we're doing this week, one, oh, give me a pen out. I do this every week. You think I'd learn? I don't learn, no, idiot. Yeah, this week's one was mainly on the question that your man asked, which was, do they show bids on the CX? Which I thought was fair enough. I mean, we kind of, we haven't covered it before as an individual video, and the short answer is no. The reason being that the CX consider it that if you do show the bids, as Shane Hardy says, he said, if they showed the prices, Pete, it would be a race to the bottom and nobody would be able to take money. Good catchphrase there from Shane. Yeah, and I think he's possibly right. But then, is there not other ways around it? I mean, Tony turns around and he says, I don't think being able to see other bid prices would benefit drivers. However, maybe seeing the amount of bids would be helpful. See, you know, there are 10 bids on this job, there are 13 bids, there are no bids on this job. That would at least give you a general idea of your chances of winning. Ian, my mate, is out there, W388, says, it's already a cutthroat business. I only see the CX as a bidding platform to the lowest price, and all the messing about trying to get jobs is a full-time job in itself, which it is, because I'm now in the office, or I'm in the lorry all week this week because Dave's on holiday. And I'm not sure how I'm going to go for. I want to be in the office. I want to get into the office because I think that's where the money is. But at the same time, it's kind of putting a kibosh on me a little bit, which is in the fact that normally, you know, I might take a job on a Monday and I'll go, well, I'm going to go to Liverpool. And if I don't get out, I'll stay in a hotel or I'll go here, there and everywhere. And I'm sort of looking, and when it's Gordon, I kind of go, well, I can't send him to Liverpool. I can't give him that job because he needs a tail lift and he can't unload it on a tail lift. And there are so many can'ts that he's only doing one job a day, whereas I would be doing possibly 2 jobs a day. And then at the end of the week, the money's not there for me to stay in the office. So it might be to where we have to get 6 trucks. But we'll see how we go. We just see how we go. Like I say, I'm in the lorry all this week, possibly all next week, because Gordon's working all this week. So he might have next week off because he normally works 2 days a week. And then maybe the week after that. We'll see how we go. We'll get there. Yeah, so as Ian was saying, he said, in my opinion, Pete, there's no such thing as a backload. If the customer wants it moving, it's full price, or leave it where it is. You're only kidding yourself thinking that you'll get home doing it for the cheap for that reason. Customers must be having a laugh at some of the prices. The only winner, in my opinion, is who gets up every morning not knowing if you're going to make £1 and spend 10. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, the exchange is exactly what it is. It's supposed to be a backload platform. And the way and he's dead right. The way forward is to get your own customers. So maybe you can charge them £4 a mile in an 18-tonne going up there. And then if you come back empty, so be it, because you've covered your prices for the day. But if you can get something going back, it's better if it covers your diesel. And that's kind of how it's engineered. If you don't break your neck, you go, hang on a second, right, I've done a Life on the Road video. I've got to edit it this afternoon. And it's sort of like the nick of time and the unbelievable backload. Stay tuned to the channel for an interesting, okay, pushing it fast and loose with that one. But yeah, that's coming up soon. So, White Van Man says, what if the bids were published after the job is sold? The CX is a marketplace longer term. The more efficiently it runs, the better is it's basically perfect information is needed to run efficiently. It could well drive prices down in the quieter periods like now, but it could also drive them up in busier periods like November. I've been on the CX for over a year now, and I still find it difficult a lot of the time to know what is reasonable fair bids on some jobs because there's no feedback on failed bids. It's just a binary yes or no. Was I too expensive, or was it something else? It is a thing, isn't it? It comes up, it's your bid has been unsuccessful. And I think, has it been unsuccessful? Or has it been cancelled? Or did the job never really exist in the first place? Was it a magic job? Right there. Yeah. You don't know, do you? So you got to hope is that you get used to the idea of the bids, and also when you've been on it long enough, people do turn around and go, yeah, it's you guys again, yeah, it's yours, and oh yeah, it's that regular job. We've got one firm, Luke and Charlie's firm. They just send the jobs through now. We got that one I was doing the first one. That come from Luke and Charlie's, and they just appear and they go clock, 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 clock. Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah, they need us to do that. It's delivering vacuum cleaners to Amazon. It's not bad actually. He said, so going back to, was I too expensive? Was it something else? When I get the jobs, was I too cheap? I know the psychology behind that one. It's a bit like, they ring you up instantly and go, oh, I could have got another 20 quid on that, another 50 quid on that. The current system is that if I don't get the job, then my mentality is, damn, I should have bid less. And if I do get it, it's damn, I should have bid more. Mate, you're bang on with that one. I feel exactly the same way. Can't win. The marketplace needs feedback. Okay, we'll see how it goes. He also goes on to say, oh guys, he said Rico Logistics bidding platform shows the lowest bid, and it massively drives the prices down. The one and only reason I quit doing jobs for them after 3 years of working with them, the bidding system was brought in after I started and only used it 6 months more moving on. I didn't know they had their own bidding platform. And if anyone's out there at Rico or anyone sort of knows anything about it, how do I get onto that? Because I always say, you don't just work the CX. If you can find jobs elsewhere, get your own customers, end user customers. That's the way forward. But also, if you can get on return loads, if you can get on Shipley, if your uncle needs lorries, anything else that gets you up and running, particularly for the right money. So it's another feather in your cap. Yeah, definitely have a go on that one. So, right, so that was that on that one. Now, we also did, like I said, I was in the office all last week. We're planning on the CX last week and the week before. Readme Media says, planning on the CX sounds like hard work, but you'll get there. I hope so. I still want to have a go at it, but we'll see how it goes. Addy, there's a Slim Shady says, just like organising taxis back in the day via the two-way radio. Same with vans and lorries, but on a digital scale. Breaker 19 for a copy. What's your handle? 10-4, good buddy. Yeah, you can see why I'm not a C. But I drive a lorry. I mean, by rights, I should have a Yorkie bar and a plaid shirt. I mean, I should be able to do this stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I need an American accent. Gee. Domain name guy says, he says a multi-drop teaches the person postcodes, because I did the mess up with a postcode. In fact, I didn't do a mess up. It said SG, and he came up on the CX as S, and then he took the driver up to Sheffield, and that's another one. I mucked up again on the planning on this week. I put John on a multi-drop. 2 drops in Birmingham, 1 in Stourbridge, and he couldn't pick it up, and they didn't load him till 3 o'clock. I'll give him a drink out of my own pocket to say sorry. There's another reason, maybe need a bit more practice. He says multiple daily parcel collections, try typing postcodes in the scanner, seeing parcels and senders postcodes, etc. He also says it must be possible to manage a driver's location and book the next jobs in from the computer using just the phone and the apps, for example. When I started day trading, because he does he's got a channel out there where he talks about sort of how you can trade on your phone when you're sitting on the bay. It's interesting. When I first started day trading, I used to go on YouTube and see traders with 4 to 6 flat screens and fast computer with hotkeys, etc. But not all that it's expensive, as you can day trade just as a phone and an app. Without looking at all this other stuff as well. As it comes down to the phone thing, thanks to Dolly, I've worked it out now. You just open separate windows. So I've got one, if I'm looking, I've got one open in Dunstable for jobs for the next day, one open in Coventry for the next day, and then depending on what drivers are tipping, I might have 3 or 4 open, one in Saffron Walden, one in Sheffield, one in Reading, and I'm just refreshing them all the time and looking for loads, and that seems to work best for me, and it has taken a while. I have also bought loads of cradles off Amazon for phones, which, if anybody needs a cradle, leave it in a comment, I'll post it you. It was £7. I don't know whether you should send them back or not. I mean, £7's still £7, but the Polaris sending it back, and one of them I'd open. Oh, who knows? Shane Hardy says, "You'll get there, Pete. As we all know, failure cannot cope with this. Is Dave the Chris thing? The only thing that failure cannot cope with is persistence." Failure cannot cope with perseverance or just winging it till you get it right. And then he says, "Pete for Dancing on Ice 2023. I go roller skate. When I was a kid, actually, I used to go every Sunday, so I can actually roller skate and do scissors and backwards and all that. My mates went to roller hockey. I couldn't go roller hockey because it was on a Saturday. I had to go to work. And if anyone's missed it, on the end of, I'll try and do you a link. Let's do a link to that one. Really. And if you fast forward to the last 2 minutes of shipping part 4, I did, as promised, do the dancing. I mean, Ashley Banjo's badgering me to try and get me to join Diversity, and I keep going, I'm sorry, Ashley, I'm too busy trying to get these lorries sorted. But what can you do, you know? So it's only so many hours in the day. As Tall Man Small Man says, Pete dancing around is one of the best things I've seen so far. Covo Logistics says, brilliant, love the dancing, was hilarious. No, hilarious, stylish. The windmill, doing the body popping. Yeah, no. And Gary Thompson says, I have the sudden urge to watch Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. So that was it for like the shipping on the CX. Trucks this week. Large Nuts says, hi mate, he says, I've checked through most of your videos and I can't find anything on truck insurance. I'm about to become an owner operator of an 18 tonne and would like some info on insurance that could cover that. He likes the videos and all that kind of stuff. We use Business Choice Direct. Because they're the ones that are affiliated with the CX, and that's basically how we got into them. They're very good. If you mention my name, theoretically they're supposed to give me 50 quid. I haven't seen 50 quid in forever. I think part of the problem is that they don't know if people mention that. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I'll do a link on how to get in video on how to get insurance. But yeah, they work for us. But I wouldn't say just do them. Maybe get a quote off them, get a quote off another couple. Go with the one that's the best and the cheapest for you. But yeah, the insurance companies are much of a muchness, to be honest with you. Just as long as you get, maybe not go with the cheapest, work out what the best cover is and the one that suits you the best. Normally you can get the goods in transit in with the insurance, which gives it less of a headache, and go with that. But yeah, like I say, Business Choice Direct is just who we use. And also on the subject of operators under trucks, KJ Ross says, good info. He says, it seems like a rip-off aimed at squeezing out the sole freelancers only the big companies can afford to operate. I wouldn't say that. I mean, to get an operator's license for one lorry, you need to have available. You don't need to have the money, concrete money. It can be on a credit card. It can be a bank overdraft. It could be a potential loan of about £8,500. The cost of getting the license is about 800 quid. You know, by the time you've taken out the advert in the paper and you've done their admin fees, it might even be less than that. It might be about 500-600 quid. I've done one on that to get an operator's license, and there's a video link up there if I've got any links left. And if you can't afford, well, I mean, you think about it, a family car, a saloon car, is what, £25,000-30,000? For that kind of money, you could afford to buy a second-hand truck and have the money in the bank and get an operator's license. So if you haven't got that kind of dough, then you're a worry. Because if you really are that skin, you could be driving a lorry down the road, which is like, oh, okay, well, I need your brake shoes, but we haven't had the money, so I'll get them next week. You hit the brakes don't work, and you plough in and kill somebody in this huge weapon of mass destruction. So I can't say that. You don't need that much. You don't need that much dough comparatively for what you are actually driving. So, you know. Right, miscellaneous. 12.54. Time step. White Van Man says, he said, when I started on the CX, I bought a new small van, primarily because I didn't have a clue mechanically and I don't trust myself buying quality rather than junk. And he said, and I don't trust myself buying quality used rather than junk, so he doesn't know the difference between the two, I guess. With the used market being a bit like the Wild West, I don't know, I think the vans and cars have got older. They seem to become more and more reliable. And a lot of the time, I mean, when I bought Jessica, it came with like a 6-month gold star warranty that if anything went wrong with a van, they changed it instantly. And I went, how does it work then? The bloke, well, I don't know, we've never had to use it. I drove the van off the forecourt, sat there looking for a job, looked under the van, there was a great big puddle of water. I went back in, I went, is that supposed to be there? And he went, better check it out. Fortunately, their mechanics were 2 streets away. The guy went, your water pump's gone. But they fixed it within 3 hours, and that was the only thing that went wrong with that van in 6 months. So it depends if you get it from a dealer, and if you can look at the paperwork, and normally it's come from like, you know, ex-hire or something like that. You read between the lines. Doesn't always have to be like, and that's not to say, I mean, some of these new motors, when they turn up, they get a problem with the ECU, and it's like, we don't know what's wrong with it. It's got the later model vehicles. They sometimes frighten me, but it's all a minefield, isn't it, mate? So, Wayne Rawlins says, hi Pete, just watched an interesting post by Jeff Buys Cars. In it mentions how London plan to charge by road user, charging presumably pence per mile, but only gives the general public till the 10th of March to respond to give their views on the course, which is totally ignored by Sadiq Khan. Yeah, we all know, I've done the petition out there. If anybody wants to sign it, there is a petition out there saying that this is basically stop telling us that it's all about the environment. It's just poor people tax under the guise of ecology. As for charging people to drive per mile, I thought that's why we paid road tax. It's another one that gets me. Suddenly we're having to pay to drive. I then pay to drive again. I then pay, although I did use the M6 toll road. I had to use the M6 toll road on the impossible day. And that was lovely. It might have been 15 quid, which is quite a lot of dough, I've got to be honest. But I wouldn't have got back without it. And, it was a luxury. Very nice. So we're nearly at the end now, guys. Belsization says, are there any fridge loads on the CX? I run an Arctic and I was quoted some silly money to join the HX. We have done a video on this one before. I like to say I might be out of links, but because you can only do 5 per video, and it's like on. You will get jobs for a high ab. You will get jobs that need a Moffat. You will get jobs that need a fridge. In fairness, I'm seeing more and more of them, and if you do see them come up, you'll get good money for them because there aren't that many people on the CX with these specialist things. I'd say you'd have to try it. And it depends on how often you actually need to get a backload or how often you are out a job for the day. Also, because the thing is, if you do get that job, there's also the possibility that they might send that job through, like we get with the Hoovers to Amazon all the time, and it could become regular work. I would say, I don't know how much they charge you, but I would say it's possibly worth a punt. And finally, Android Lloyd said, it says, you can't make money on the CX if you don't co-load. Doing one job at a time won't make you money as a courier. That kind of goes back to what Ian said, really. I mean, you're not allowed to co-load on the CX. It's a categoric, you're not allowed to do it, But if you can get your own customers, so that, say for example you had a regular run and it had to be picked up in Dunstable and it had to go down to Southampton every day, and as long as it got there by the end of the day it didn't matter, and then you could go, well, I'll pick this load up in Dunstable, then I'll go and pick my CX load up, deliver it direct, and then go and drop the other one off afterwards. That could work. There are ways, if you've got non-time deliveries on board with a time delivery, that can work. If you have to be transparent with people, say, look, because sometimes if you you turn up and you haven't got an empty van, the person you turn up with will go, what's that? That's not supposed to be here. I booked the van. It's booked like a taxi. I booked this van for me. Why is that pallet on board? And you say, well, we've got to get 2 pallets. We ain't got no space. So you'd have to be clever about it. It is possible, but it's not. It's kind of frowned upon. So that's it. I'm in the lorry all next week. I'm going to be in Bristol at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, so I shall be up at 4:15. It's not the same as working in the office, is it? But who knows? Hopefully my time will come. In the meantime, I'm going to get my head down, smash through it in a truck, a week off, taking care and taking money.